The Zika virus really arose several decades ago in Brazil. So it's really been around for quite some period of time, but unfortunately, as with many viral infections, it goes in cycles, and this happens to be a big cycle, an upcycle for the Zika virus. So we know that right now in Central and South America, there's a significant uptick or upswing in the number of cycles, the number of people who've been affected. And we also know from preliminary data that have been generated that when women are pregnant and they're acutely infected with the Zika virus, this can result in a significant life-threatening problem for their children called microcephaly, which is a condition where babies are born not only with small heads but with small brains. And that can lead to significant and severe developmental abnormalities down the road. So we know right now that Zika is only a real problem in areas where it is prevalent. And what that means is that right now in Central and South America, there are many patients who've unfortunately been infected with the Zika virus. And that's important because when people from the United States travel to those areas that have a high rate of infectivity, they have a much higher risk of actually getting infected. We know that with the exception of one case in the United States so far, which was transmitted sexually, Zika can only be transmitted by being bitten from an infected mosquito. So we know that that is the culprit. We know the two types of mosquitoes that are involved in transmission of the disease. And we also know that for the general population, if you're bitten by an infected mosquito, first of all, there's no guarantee that you'll be infected. But if in fact you are infected, the symptoms are basically mild. You may very well get a rash. You may very well feel down and feel run down and fatigue like when you have the flu, so flu-like symptoms. Those are the basic symptoms along with headache that people tend to get. The virus typically runs its course over very few days. There's no treatment that's indicated other than basic supportive treatment, hydration, Tylenol, and then the virus runs its course and it's gone. And as long as that person who's infected doesn't have sex with their partner during that period of time and for a couple of weeks thereafter, there's really no risk of transmission. It can't be transmitted by cough. It can't be transmitted by basic contact. First and most important thing stressed by the Center for Disease Control is that couples who are pregnant, women who are pregnant, and couples who are seeking to achieve pregnancy in the very near future should avoid travel to areas where Zika is known to be prevalent. So right now, if you look at the map that the CDC puts out on a daily basis, those areas that are most affected are Central America, South America, some of the Caribbean islands, but there's really no state in the United States that's proven at this point in time to be a problem. So people who live in Texas are no more at risk than people who live at Florida or New Hampshire or for that matter Alaska. If couples really do need to travel, paying attention to just some minor points that are very important but basically easy to follow will prevent their getting infected and really prevent a problem down the road. So the basic issues are just to avoid the risk of getting or limit the risk of getting exposed to a mosquito. So those things that you can do are very simple. You can wear long pants and long sleeve shirts. Most mosquito bites occur during the daylight hours, not at night. So when you're out during the day, you need to make sure that you stay out of areas where there's standing water. You need to stay out of jungle type areas. You need to wear, like I said before, your long sleeve shirt and your long pants. And you need to use an insect repellent that contains DEET, D-E-E-T. And the Center for Disease Control has looked at this. They've determined there's no contraindication, even in pregnancy, for a pregnant woman to use DEET-containing insect repellents. It's very, very important that they do so. At night, the Center for Disease Control advises sleeping under mosquito netting. They also advise staying indoors as much as possible, also staying in air-conditioned rooms. That all appears to be very helpful in limiting the risk of exposure. And if people just follow those simple, basic tenets, there really should be no risk.